At 5:30, a Russian Bayern M corvette in the Sea of Azov, loaded with 8-caliber cruise missiles, prepared to strike Ukrainian cities. What had been a quiet mission erupted in seconds. Unknown to the ship's crew, 7 Ukrainian drones were closing in. 7 drones, 3 light, blister-fast Rybaka attackers, and 4 heavier Bober follow-ons. The lead Rybaka accelerated to 400 kilometers per hour as checkpoint gunners opened up. Tracer fire stitched the dawn. Each 23mm shell could atomize a small UAV, but the gunners couldn't see the drones, only hear them, so they fired to the sound. The lead Rybaka juked left, accelerating to 432 kilometers per hour and screaming past before rounds could catch it. The gunfire, however, alerted every Russian position within 10 kilometers. Surprise evaporated as warnings sped across telegram faster than military radios. Radio interference and power lines turned the operator's screen to static. The drone climbed and cleared a 110,000-volt transmission line by 2 meters. Instruments spiked, compasses spun, and video flickered. A radio tower loomed. The operator banked hard and threaded the drone between guy wires by inches. 2 more Rybakas followed 30 seconds later, exploiting the chaos to slip through. Their role, blind the ship's radar and open corridors. For Bobers took a northern route at 200 kilometers per hour with heavier warheads, the hammer set to strike once the path was cleared. But the Russians anticipated warnings. A jammer flooded control frequencies with 400 watts of electromagnetic noise. The lead screen went black. Pre-programmed waypoints kept the drones alive, accelerometers and optical cues guiding them autonomously through the storm. 3 minutes later, video returned. A Bober on course. A BTR-82 blocked the highway. Its gun fired preset patterns. The operator dove into an industrial maze, buildings through radar shadows and sheltered soldiers who poured out to shoot by sound. Skimming at 10 meters, the drone used the terrain to hide from hilltop radars that could see 50 kilometers up high, but only 12 kilometers at ground level. Still, concentrated small arms finally connected. The third Rybaka spiraled into a parking lot and detonated. Losses mounted. 2 Bobers and 2 Rybakas remained. Then everything changed. The operator's screen filled with a threat the briefing had missed. A Panzer battery fired 6 anti-drone interceptors. These weren't ordinary SAMs, but light, 12 kilograms interceptors carrying 200 tungsten spheres in a fragmentation warhead designed to create a lethal 10-meter diameter cloud at high velocity. The Panzer fired staggered altitudes, 50 m, 30 m, 10 m, trying to box the drones into a 3-dimensional kill zone. But Panzer missiles had a 1.2-second arming delay. At 432 kilometers per hour, a Rybaka covers 144 m in that time. Seeing the launch flares, the operator dove directly toward the missiles. They flew overhead unarmed. Diving to 5 meters, the Rybaka lined up on the Podlet K. 1 radar, the system feeding targeting data to launchers across 200 kilometers. Twin 30mm cannons on the Panzer spun up and attempted predictive boxing fire, but servo lag and solution delays left them always a step behind. The Rybaka struck the radar antenna with a shaped charge. The Monroe effect, shaped charge jet of copper at hypersonic speed, punctured the array, processing units and operator stations, punching clean through into copper spray. The second Rybaka obliterated a P-18 spoon rest early warning radar. Thermal imaging struggled in dawn inversion layers. The drone's motors generated negligible heat and appeared as cold spots. The Panzer gunner sprayed 5,000 rounds in a spiral water hose search pattern, effective against helicopters, useless against a drone that could pivot 90 degrees in half a second. Both primary radars died. The corvette, for kilometers offshore, was suddenly blind and isolated. On board, the ship's radar produced ghosting, sea clutter indistinguishable from low-altitude drones. Automatic filters tossed real contacts as false returns. The AK-630M2 duet close-in system spun its barrels and tried to compute firing solutions using Kalman filters, but the drone's course changes every 2 seconds corrupted the predictions. The crew resorted to chaff, and the TK 25E ECM suite, but the Ukrainians countered with frequency-hopping links. The video feed dropped from 1080p to 480p. Annoying but usable. At 500M, the Rabaka went manual and dove for the mast. Deck rifles and PKMs tried, but the drone crossed human fields of view in under a second. The lead bobber then struck the mast dead-on. Shaped charge destroyed radars and comms, severing the ship's ability to launch missiles. The second bobber hit the missile magazine's forward bulkhead and the adjacent missile handling systems. The shaped charge initiated sympathetic detonations, rupturing hydraulics, igniting arc fires, and disabling safety interlocks. The corvette did not sink, but it limped into port 12 hours later with its superstructure blackened and major systems gutted. Recovery, if spare parts could be sourced through sanctions, would take at least 18 months. The 8-caliber missiles intended for Ukrainian cities never launched. Operators in distant bunkers, using off-the-shelf parts and clever tactics, had turned a $500 million warship into a burnt hulk without losing their own lives.